Hello everybody, it is July of 2024 and I am here at the elevaTOURs Elevator Museum. It has been a little while since I've done a museum update and I've had a lot of requests to do one, so let's head on upstairs and see what the museum looks like here in July of 2024. And look who's down here to greet us.
Hi everybody, and welcome to the elevaTOURs Elevator Museum located in Roanoke, Virginia. It is late July 2024 and Jason is going to show you the current condition of our effort down here. Now please note, while I do host this collection, it is a joint effort between me, Jason, Jared, and countless other people who have supported this effort. So with that being said, Jason will be your tour guide. I hope you enjoy this.
And here we go. As you can see here, we have a very similar layout as before, but as always, there are lots of things coming and going in here, and things are being moved around, so there's always new stuff to see every time you come visit. So one of the big things I did this visit to Roanoke is I wanted to redo some of our power down here. And that was just to support some of the new simulators I've built and some of the new projects. And so what I did was build this. So before, you might remember, we had a power strip here that was kind of hanging around and there was just a switch. And so I decided to put a proper switch on here. So we have an Otis pit switch. So to turn everything on, you pull this switch and everything comes alive. Now, one of the other things that we added is this. Now, most of us elevator enthusiasts do not like elevator fans. However, it gets kind of hot down here at the museum, and a little bit of air circulation is definitely nice. So with a flip of the switch, we can turn on the elevator fan, and it circulates the air down here very nicely.
This fan came to us courtesy of Captain Elevator 42189.
And the fan is also on this switch, so we can turn it off with that. So I'm very happy with how this came out. This is definitely an upgrade, and we've got plenty of room for expansion for new simulators and new exciting things like that. So with that, let's go ahead and get started here on the left. Here we have a new piece to the museum, which is a custom impulse panel. This thing is really cool. Doesn't do anything at the moment. Down here we also have another new piece. This here is a residential style elevator panel from ThyssenKrupp Access. And then just sitting right here, I've got this Dover C.J. Anderson panel, which is really cool. This actually came from St. Louis. Here we've got a 6-stop Montgomery A-Series panel, which is kind of just chilling out right here for now. So I'm gonna move this over here so we can reveal the Fair Hall panel, which we've all seen this one before. Over here we have a new piece, at least I believe since the last tour. This is a old Gallagher and Spec panel, came from Chicago, and these are the really cool small white buttons. And then over here we have the other Montgomery A-Series panel that we've seen before. Moving up here, we've got the Dewhurst Sales Sample, the Dominion GAL, the Alderson GAL.
That piece you just pressed, by the way, is the first elevator piece I ever got way back in 1997. Came out of the Price Doyle Fine Arts Building, Murray State, and was given to me by the Dover elevator technicians.
Very cool. Over here we have various GAL Jet Plus buttons. Well, that one works. This one kind of works too. Got some Southern buttons, so very cool. Moving up here, we've got an old kind of just generic up-down call button. The rotary C.J. Anderson, an old black button Montgomery, some Montgomery car tops. We got two different styles here, one with the 3 buttons, and then one with the button and the toggle switch. Hollister Whitney C.J. Anderson, Montgomery Vector, and some more C.J. Anderson, which I actually might be doing something to this panel, so I'm going to go ahead and put this to the side. And down here we have a Montgomery car top. Up here we've got some more C.J. Anderson, so just some call buttons. Here, this one is a Rosenberg from Milwaukee. Here's a call button, and wow, this thing has definitely tarnished since I cleaned it up. More C.J. Anderson, and just a little hidden Kone button here, vintage Kone. And then up here on the top, with the elevator fan, we've got some of the same fixtures that I've had here in the past. And then this is actually kind of just sitting here. This is really old indicator. Actually, I'm not really totally sure what this is. I think it's Montgomery. So we've got that indicator kind of chilling out up there. Moving over here, we've got the This Car Up light, which has been here for a while. Looks very nice. And then down here, we've got a Dominion GAL Jet Plus. This is new here. This is old long, or actually monitor, but this was off of an old long elevator in St. Louis. A piece Andrew has wanted for a very long time. Montgomery Square button. Surge. This one's new, I believe, since the last video. Fujitech, which I think this one's new. I can't remember if this one is or not. I could be totally wrong about some of these as well. Old Armor. Dewhurst, and Curtis, which I forget what button contact this is, but these big clunky buttons, which are pretty cool. Next shelf down, we've got a Montgomery A-Series call button, a nice space for something else, which I need to put in there. Here's the Shepherd GAL button, everyone's favorite button, which I guess I gotta fix that again. We've got an EPCO that lights up green and red, looks pretty cool. A long button, so this is like a newer style long button, the monitor. And over here we have Westinghouse Vandal Resistant. On the next shelf down, we've got the GAL Jet Plus car panel, and then the Freight call button, and then the PTL sales sample, which shows all the different types of PTL buttons. And then here are some of the few brass panels we have, just some plates. We've also got a gurney elevator and an old Milner button from St. Louis. And down here, these panels haven't changed. We've got the San Francisco panel, the old black button Westinghouse, and the old Dover with EPCO, which I believe that's wired up. Yep, I didn't put an alarm in it though. Down there is the prototype indicator from the Hotel Roanoke, which something might be a little different about those now. And then down there, we've got an old Westinghouse indicator. And while I'm thinking about it, because I know I will definitely forget, we cannot forget all of the indicators and lanterns hanging up here along the ceiling. So we'll just go ahead and pan around here. I haven't changed any of these out since the last video, so if you've seen the last video, literally nothing has changed about these. But you can see here we've got a lot of various things hanging around to see. And then over here we have the long panel that came from the Keener Garage in St. Louis. You can see it says long down there. This is an interactive panel. So if you hold the button in, I fixed that segment earlier and it decided to break again. So if you hold the buttons in, you can select the floor. And if you want to do the iconic glitch, you push two buttons at the same time and just kind of do that. You can do the iconic glitchy long, and there's also an alarm there. Up here is the source of all the clicking that you've been hearing, and that is this really cool old Otis indicator that just cycles up and down all the time and just clicks. So that's what's making all this ambient clicking that you're hearing throughout the video. All right, and then down here we have some more assorted fixtures. Over here is an Otis car top station, which is very colorful and has very clunky controls. Here we have a Houghton button, another armor, Arrow Heart, EPCO, an Innovation Residential button, and some more EPCO. Then down here we have an Otis shelf, which I've kind of had these two shelves as the Otis shelf for a while, and I have moved some things around. So over here we have this original elevator button from Reese Hall, which, did you make that label for it, or was that like that?
I bought it off eBay like that.
That is very interesting. So that's where this button came from. Here we have an Otis Series 1. We've got another Otis black button, except we replaced it with some metal buttons, which is pretty cool. Got kind of a more modern style Otis. Here's some more old black buttons. This one's kind of cool because it says press to descend. This here is a new piece we just got. This is a European Otis Series 1, which is super cool. It's super compact and it's very clicky. That's what the back looks like. So that's really neat. And over here, I've had these buttons out for a while. I've got another old Otis black button, Otis Lexan, and of course the rotodial indicator, which let's set to 13 because we can. And then of course we've got a bunch of different logos and labels and covers, things like that. Down here we have some more Otis buttons, which I haven't changed this out. We've got the Boxley building panel here. We've got a dumbwaiter panel, a freight call, and of course the Lexan from the Menger Hotel. And then the really large cast iron dumbwaiter panel. And over here the Gen 2 belt, some more logos, Series 5 button, and the boxes. Down here on the bottom, kind of move some stuff around. We have another nice open space for a new exhibit that will be coming soon. The Allied GAL panel. We've got the Baxter & Sons US panel, which I think this is wired up now. And the 3 button doesn't work for some reason, which that's always fun. That was really loud. I forgot how loud that was, so that's kind of fun. And we've got a new Montgomery square button. I believe this is new since the last tour. Now over here in this corner is what I like to call the interactive corner. Now not everything is interactive, but we've got a lot of very exciting things over here. Starting out over here is the very well-known US panel from the Elmwood Garage. And I've swapped out the buttons to incandescents from LEDs. Here is one of our Otis cranks. This is the shiny one. And you can see here it kind of sits on this stand, which I need to probably secure a bit better. Here's a large Westinghouse logo on top of our power center, which powers a bunch of stuff in this corner. So you might remember on some of the previous tours, this thing used to be over there. I moved it over here for power ease of access reasons, but this is the one with the beeper on 5, and then all the other buttons here. These are MAD fixtures. Over here is the Otis rotodial project I did a while back. This is the one where if you press the up and down button, the rotary indicator moves, which is really cool. And it's really simple. You just click up to make it go up, and you click down to make it go down. I have made a video on this project, so if you're interested in seeing how I built it, be sure to check that out. Over here is another little simulator I built. This one is an EPCO. When it's just sitting stationary, it just picks a random floor and moves around. However, you can call it by pressing the call button. So in this case, it defaults to the first floor. If you'd like to change what floor that it simulates, you can hold the button in the direction you'd like to go. So now, when I press the button, we will be simulating calling it to floor 3. So if well, it's not gonna work now because it hasn't gone anywhere. So if we let it go somewhere and then I press the button, it'll recall it to 3 instead of 1. So you can see here, if I click down, I'll go ahead and click up. So now it will take it down to 3, which is pretty cool. Down here we have some more buttons. Here is the Regency button. Very clicky, very cool. Here's the old ESCO CJ Anderson that has been restored. We've got another CJ Anderson here. And of course the old Dover panel over here. And then over here we have the Otis Lexan simulator. This is another project that I made a video on, so if you want to see this in more detail, be sure to check that out. But this thing actually received an upgrade this last visit. We had a slight power issue with it where it was cutting out, and I rebuilt it a little bit, so now we don't have that intermittent issue anymore. And we have a fully working simulator with a projection display, which is really cool. So this thing works like a regular elevator. You can just put in calls to where you want it to go, and it's going to keep going up and down until it reaches all those floors and clears out all the calls. It also has working fire service, but if you want to see this thing in full action, be sure to check out my project video. And over here we have the Schindler panel with all the very colorful buttons. This is a project I did a long time ago. It's still up here being enjoyed in the museum. Down here is the 13th floor Otis black button panel, and that is the panel from the same elevator that this came out of. Of course, we can't forget our favorite Westinghouse Select-O-Matic Mark IV panel with 36 floors of vandal-resistant buttons. Very exciting. Now over here, this is a piece that is new since the last tour, and this is actually one of my best simulators I've ever built. I'm very proud of this project. This here is the Montgomery Vector Simulator. This is something we've been wanting to get in the museum for a long time now, and thanks to Rafe, we've got one. So, this one also works like the Lexan, where you can push buttons and make it move up. But this one's kind of cool because it has a chime and it also has a working VFD. I also made a project video on this panel, so be sure to check that out if you'd like to see all the features of this panel. Over here we have the Westinghouse Select-O-Matic pop-out panel. Now this thing doesn't work yet, project that's in the works. At some point, I actually have our other pop-out panel at the workshop right now. Hopefully we'll have a working pop-out panel, but who knows how long that'll be. Now moving over here to our center shelves, we've got some various lanterns up here. So this here is a really cool custom piece from Rafe. We've got this Westinghouse themed subscribe button and some EPCO buttons with a notification bell and a thumbs up. So those are all things you should do. Up here we have some more various buttons. We've got monitor, which came off of a Long. We've got an Adams button from the Sears Tower in Chicago. ThyssenKrupp, more ThyssenKrupp, EPCO, monitor, and EPCO. More stuff down here. We've got a car top inspection station, some EPCO, Kone 220, Schindler HT, more EPCO, Westinghouse and Schindler RT, and we have armor with a rotodial. Down here we have another new piece. This here is a Shepherd call button, which is really cool. We've got a Montgomery car top, an old ERM car top, the Superior car panel, and Schindler HT VR. Also some plates. Down here, that was a little mini disaster. I will be right back. All right, we've recovered from our little incident. Down here, we have a Schindler call button. We've got the Southern GL black button, another Alderson button, some more EPCO, and Montgomery Square button. And over here, we have the table of all kinds of different things. Down here on the shelves, we've got various elevator artifacts such as alarm bells, relays, we've got interlocks, switches, so roller switches, oilers, door release keys, we've got a Dover I2 valve, an indicator, car top station, some rollers. So lots of various elevator items in there. Of course, we've got the Church Avenue indicator on the ground. Here's a Montgomery A-Series panel and a Baxter & Sons EPCO panel. Now up here on the top of the table, of course, we have our list of some notable supporters and donors of the museum. Big thank you to everybody that's on this list, plus everybody else who has given something or helped out here at the Elevator Museum. We greatly appreciate everyone's support. Here we have some of the various logos and labels, patches, stickers, you name it. We've got all kinds of different labels here. I try to swap these out with new things here and there. Over here we have all of the car switches. So all of these are mounted on these very nice pieces of wood that I built. So here we have the American. So this one has a button on the top that you press down, up and down. Here's one of the Houghton. So you pull the handle in and slide it left and right. Here's the Burwack. It does not have a locking system. It just turns. Actually, it used to, but it doesn't work anymore. Over here is the other Houghton, like the other one. Pull in on the handle, and you can slide it down and up. Here's another one of the mini Otis cranks. And an old Westinghouse. You lift up on this handle, and you can slide it left and right. Over here, we have a demo unit of the Adams Life Jacket for hydraulic elevators, and how that will grab it in the event of a single bottom jack blowout. Here's an old selector from a Schindler Houghton, and of course our favorite rotary phone. And we can't forget the little US car top station. Now over here in the front we have our big bulky Otis selector and governor, but these are very cool elevator items and it's fun to learn about how elevators work, and you can see how these controllers were. So this is the controller here, and these are the big relays for making it go up and down. And we also have some more relays down there. So that is very cool. And then this here is our governor, which I'm not going to demonstrate because it looks like it's already been tripped. But I've demonstrated this in other videos. Essentially how it works is this thing spins, and this is a flyball governor, so the faster it goes, physics happens, and these spread out here, which then will trip the governor and set the emergency brake. Over here we have a much more compact version of this. So this is a Westinghouse governor, and it works essentially the same way. The faster it goes, physics happens, and it trips it. Over here we've got an old C.J. Anderson car panel. Here's the Shepherd car switch. Over here is our other Otis car switch. This actually is my first time seeing this one. This is really cool. We've got the emergency operation there, and then these nice clunky switches. For whatever reason, the light does not want to stay on that one. Of course, we can't forget the custom diesel Lucy panel, which appears to not... Oh, gotta turn it on first. That would help. There we go. So now it works. So that's very cool. We've got the old Dominion panel. This piece is new. This is a Houghton panel. And here we have the old General panel. Over here on this shelf, got a GAL indicator. And here we have a call button from the Hotel Roanoke. This was the one that was in the lobby. We have some Westinghouse, various types of Westinghouse. We've got a Thyssen and Schlieren. And then one of the ThyssenKrupp Safety Ambassador buttons. Here's a mini Houghton shelf. So we've got a bunch of Houghton logos here. We've also got the car top station and various call buttons. And then actually while we're here, we can turn this on. This is the demo for the door sensor, where you have your little green and blinky orange lights that you've probably seen before. Down here we've got various US buttons, square button, circle button, and soft touch on top of a Mac car top station, which is Montgomery. Here's a Turnbull call button with rotodials and another Houghton car top. Down here we've got the Schindler Houghton car panel and the National Elevator armor panel and a spot for something else. Over here on this back wall, we've got even more panels. This is the Dominion GAL panel, which, did the battery die? I can't remember if we swapped out the bulb. We might have taken the bulbs out of this. I think that's might have what happened. Got a couple of Westinghouse buttons there, a shiny Dover Impulse, a Southern GAL panel. This is a new panel, at least for me. This is I believe this is a new panel. Yeah, the Westinghouse black button, where it's like the AE or Type E buttons, which are really cool. Over here is the Schindler M series. We've seen this before. We've also seen this, which is the Church Avenue garage panel. But over here, this is a new piece. This here is the big panel from the elevator at the Hotel Roanoke. So the Hotel Roanoke is now represented here in the Elevator Museum, which is super cool. And over here we have a bunch of stuff on the top again. I'll just go ahead and pan the camera and you can kind of enjoy all the items up here. Probably due to switch some of these things out. I actually haven't changed this around in a while, so that might be the next thing that gets changed around. So over here, we've got the paddle switched over call button. We've got this very interesting inspection station, an inland square button dumbwaiter panel. This thing's really cool. This is a new piece. This old car panel, these very interesting buttons, and this really tiny light switch. Now this is really cool. I call this like the mini dice panel. This I guess was from like a dumbwaiter, considering you would just go 1 through 4 and you just kind of chose where you wanted to go. Here we have another inland button from a dumbwaiter, my favorite. And here we have an old Westinghouse call button with rotodials, which are really cool. This goes all the way up to 13. Down here we've got a US circle button, call button, an old Schindler, the weird custom mini Dover car panel, the old Dover button that we put the Miami logo on, so this is actually a Miami elevator, the old traditional panel. And over here we've got the Schindler M series call button with the arrows. And down here we have a few random buttons. This is a wheelchair lift control and some sales samples. Actually, this is a sales sample, and this is that kind of weird button that's been lingering on eBay for years. Down here we have the Turnbull car panel. Here is what we call the ghetto panel. It's nice and destroyed, but it's a monitor panel, which is pretty cool. And over here we have the armor panel. These have very satisfying buttons. Up here we've got the Schindler MT. Here we have the long bar and the regular, GAL black button, Dover Impulse, and some ThyssenKrupp. Here we have a bunch of Dover and an Imposter. We've got the clicky VR buttons, some old Dover call buttons. These look really nice. Some traditional, Impulse, and a old Otis, which is the Imposter. along with a bunch of Dover logos. Down here we have this upside down button, which I guess I need to fix. This big old thing. What was this from? Was this like a Russian button or?
Yes, that's from Russia.
So we have this Russian call button, very, very beefy, but I need to fix it so it doesn't sit upside down. CJ Anderson, Armor, some more ThyssenKrupp, and Innovation. Oh, and can't forget the Kone and one of these little guys again. Down here we have some old Otis panels. One of these kind of large style ones, and then one of the smaller ones, which for whatever reason the B button is on the top. Here we have the Thyssen car panel, which is pretty cool. And we've got this GAL ESCO panel, and a space for something new. And of course over here we have our main display. So we've got the Houghton car panel, the Armor, ooh, a space for something new. Thyssen Schaefer button, Schindler, the Alamo panel, another Schindler, the Rotary, Transporta, one of the Schlieren, Payne, the other Schlieren, Westinghouse, car top station, the Seeberg button, the tiny Schindler car panel, the other Shepherd call button, the ABC button, the Cobra button with the replaced buttons, but still very cool, the General call button. I do not remember this piece. This is a new one to me. Portland elevator. That's really cool. Another Transporta button, and of course the Reading button, and the Otis black button car top, and then the CJ Anderson. Of course, we've got this Warren elevator plate, the Titan Lift Company plate, and then down here we have a bunch more plates, but we've got a bunch of different GAL black buttons with different labels and logos. I think one of the newest ones is the Cedar. That's a new one. And then over here we've got the car panels and this beefy call button. And of course we can't forget the Schindler car top, the Titan call button, the Diesel Ducey button, and the Innovation sales samples with some foreign Schindler buttons over here. And now moving on to the last shelf. We've got the Dieve car panel here. This is new, the Graham call button, which is very cool. This came from Sweden. Andrew just got this. We've got the Kone button that I built stuff for a while back. This thing is pretty cool. Where'd this come from?
Got that off eBay.
So that's pretty cool. Another foreign button. And of course we've got this weird car panel here. Here we've got the Boss button, which I wired up and looks really cool. Here's the Murphy car panel. This here we've determined is Hitachi. I have actually made a video on this that I haven't made yet. I should probably do that, but I made a video on wiring this. And some of the various Schindler buttons and another Mack car top. And down here we've got a few more foreign buttons. We got the ASEA button. This thing's very cool. We've got the S. Heller button from Milwaukee. We've got this kind of funky call button. I think this is Schaefer as well. And then I forget the brand of this, but this is another foreign button. An old Montgomery call button, some modern Schindler, and this just kind of generic button that it's an old button, but it's very cool. And of course you can't forget this little lift button, whatever brand this is. And of course we can't forget the indicator from Macy's. This thing's really cool. Here is an indicator from the Sears Tower in Chicago. Over here we have some more Schaefer. Here is a Westinghouse GAL Jet Plus freight panel. Another Dieve button. This is the call button. Some more Schaefer. The car panel from the Titan. And the Schlieren car panel. Over here we have a new piece. This is the Houghton car panel, which is very cool. And finally we have the ThyssenKrupp car panel from the Habitat store. So that concludes the tour of our main display here at the Elevator Museum. Lots of very exciting things to see here, and as you probably saw, we have a lot of openings for new items, which will be on display probably by the time anyone else visits the museum past this video. But of course, as you know, over here, this is where we keep the extra stuff. And yes, it is still a gigantic mess, but we've been getting so much stuff here that we're still going through a lot of it. So I figured go ahead and show off some of the things we have here in storage, which could eventually be over there in the main unit. Of course, here we have the Otis selector, which I'm not going to demonstrate a whole lot, mainly because I've shown this off before. But just as a quick demo, you can see here, this is how the Otis selector would work. Just demonstrate it here on the bottom floor. And now it's just gonna go crash into the bottom, but we do have a fully working Otis pipette selector. So if this is something that interests you, you can see how it works here in the museum. Of course, here we got the flopper. So the flopper is in here now. It was in the main unit, but we decided to swap it out for something else. This is the EPCO panel, which is very cool. And we've just got boxes of stuff in here. I'm not gonna go through every little thing we've got here. We've got a bunch of Bush panels here, some Adams, Otis. Back here, of course, we've got the Otis buttons from the Wells Fargo building in Roanoke with the touch buttons. Our Dover Impulse, US, another Bush panel. There's the other Wells Fargo one. And just generally lots and lots of stuff that I'm still going through and giving a good home for. So with that, that pretty much concludes the 2024 tour of the elevaTOURs Elevator Museum. So with that being said, Andrew, do you have any closing remarks?
Thanks for all your help with this, and I hope to see some of y'all down here. Like I said, this is a fluid exhibit, so we're always rotating stuff. My goal is to keep it somewhat fresh every 6 months.
And that is what we tend to do. So thank you for watching this tour. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.
That'll be